In the wake of the coronavirus outbreak, millions of people are now out of work. We showed you the job numbers. More and more of them, they need help with some of the basics. And when I say basics, I'm talking about food here. That means food banks from coast to coast are now struggling to deal with the demand as well as logistical nightmares caused by quarantines and stay-at-home orders. Plus, workers there are just like everybody else. They're worried about getting sick. My next guest, he works at Feeding Westchester, which of course is located in one of the epicenters of COVID-19 just outside of New York City. Matt Honeycutt, VP of Feeding Westchester, joins us now. Matt, thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me.
You know, even before COVID-19, one of the things I was always struck when I was dealing with food banks is this misperception on the public's part as to who relies on this. It's not just the indigent or the shut-ins. A lot of working families even need to supplement the food by groups like yours. I can only imagine right now the population that relies on groups like yours to make ends meet. Put a human face, if you could, on who relies on you guys now.
On an average year, we serve about 200,000 families. That's children, seniors, moms and dads, single moms, hardworking people that just don't make enough to make ends meet in a county like Westchester County. We see a lot of seniors who they own their home outright. They worked hard their whole life. They have their pension. They've done everything right, but their pension won't keep up with the cost of living in Westchester County. And so they'll save up for the holidays. They'll blow it out like they do every year for their kids, and then they go right back into line at some of our food pantries looking for our help. So if you take that normal 200,000, we're trying now to figure out what that number is going to look like in 30, 60, and 90 days as we move into what really will be the next level of this huge crisis for us as a food bank.
And just so people know, as a frame of reference, a study was done that if there was a $400 expense that people weren't prepared for, I'm talking about the car going out or somebody getting sick or somebody getting laid off. This is before we even ever heard of COVID-19. 40% of the American public couldn't make up that shortfall. And now you deal with about 3.5 million unemployment claims filed in a week. I can only imagine the stress it puts a group like yours under. So, simple question, Matt, in terms of supply and demand. You already said demand is through the roof. How is supply keeping up?
So we, by this point in a normal year, in this month, we would have done about 800,000 pounds of food. We've done 1.35 million pounds since the crisis broke a few weeks ago. And that's food going out into homes, into the food pantries that are still operating. We didn't see this coming at this level, but we knew that people would be looking to store food. And if you think in terms of this, if you struggle to put 2 days worth of food together on any given week, what do you do when someone comes to you and says you need 2 weeks worth in your house right now and you can't eat it yet? And so we started pushing food out 6 weeks ago, even more, to our agencies, asking them to take down your 2 per family signs, do everything that you can to get them to take more food home and really push food into their houses in a huge quantity to help us get ahead of what we assumed was coming, which was a 2-week shelter in place.
Now, Matt, I remember over the last few years, a soup kitchen used to be designed that they would serve. I remember one woman told me, we were set up to serve lunch 3 days a week. Quickly that became 5 days a week, weekends. Then they had to open up and do dinners too, etc. You now have the crisis we're under. Forget about people that were sick, but you have all the shuttered doors. How do people get the food? And how do the people on your front lines dealing with this, who are navigating their own at-home situations, caring for kids, and then also putting themselves at risk, the more human contact they have and the more that they've got to go basically in harm's way, if you will. How do you navigate that?
So let's start first with how we're getting the food out. How we do that has basically changed with every press conference given by any governor in the country, right? So it started out where people could gather in groups of, 100, and then it went to 50, and then it went to 25, and then it went to 10, and then it went not at all. And so with that, we had to change our methods of getting food out every single time. And sometimes we were changing in the middle of a day. We'd have one plan in the morning, it'd have to be another one in the afternoon. And so what we've landed on now, we have some agencies in the northern part of the county that are that have a small enough population that they serve that they can actually take food to your home and drop it off, and that's been fantastic. We have pockets of towns working with us up there. Peekskill, Ossining, as an example, rallied early. They called us. We get food to them by the almost the semi-truckload, and they sort it locally and they get it out to people in need. We have groups that are working just with seniors, groups working just with children. The hospitality group in the county is trying to help feed people that have been displaced by the closing of all the restaurants. So the other method that we figured out worked really well was a drive-through food pickup. So basically cars come by single file. We did one today at Westchester Community College, and we're so grateful to them and to the county for helping us make that happen. And a little over 500 families were served today there. I think on the other side, and this is a topic that I have had this conversation with my wife every night. We have 2 teenage children, and they've been isolated at home for 3 weeks now because of school closures, and I would be the only reason they got sick. And so we struggle with that as a team here too. I have one wonderful gentleman on our team whose father passed away 2 weeks ago. He didn't get to the funeral. I have one woman whose daughter gave birth to their second grandchild. She hasn't held that baby yet. And both of them come to work every single day. And everybody here knows any day that you decide you don't want to come back, you can choose not to come back. And no one's going to hold anything against you. But they continue to come back to work every single day, and I pray every single night they don't get sick.
Amazing, Matt. You know, there's a lot of people watching us, obviously, that aren't in the New York or even the metropolitan area, up and down the eastern seaboard and Texas, California. Westchester is a county of nearly 1 million people. And there might be an image out there of what Westchester is versus what it really is, but it's got urban areas to it. It's got very affluent areas. It's got some sparsely populated areas. But it's a mixture of a lot of different things. And I've always been struck by how many people live on that razor edge with not getting by. And obviously all the rules went out the window with what this country's gone through in the last month. But Matt, how much longer can you guys keep this up?
Another great question, and we were just talking this through. So when this first started, we split our team in half, and we sent one group home, not really knowing how this was going to escalate. And now the struggle is, you know, who do I tell they have to come back at this point? You just can't do that. There is no perfect solution. All I know is if we don't come to work, people don't eat. So we're doing everything we can every day to figure out how to keep that moving.
All right, Matt, tell everybody, I think you did a phenomenal job explaining the acute need here for this and the challenges in doing it. How can people help? What's the best way to do so? We've brought up your website, your organization's website right on the screen.
If you need food, go to that site, pull down the drop-down menu, and you'll see where we have food available. Please know that we have enough. You don't have to go to every single site every single week and load up. There's enough food coming. We promise we'll have it there. If you have enough, if your pantry is full, help us fill someone else's right now. And the best way to do that is to donate. You can't come volunteer with us because we can't risk you getting sick or you getting one of us sick. You can't donate food to us because you need to keep it in case you need it or your friends need it or your family or your neighbors need it. And that keeps them out of the lines that we're seeing everywhere across the county right now. So right now, whether you're in our county, wherever you are, go find your food bank and make a gift to them so they can buy more food and get more food, rent more trucks, hire more staff, do whatever they have to do to get food out to people through this crisis.
You know, obviously, this sucks, this whole crisis we're under. But if there is one small silver lining, I think people are being introduced to people who do things and go below the radar, and they thanklessly sacrifice themselves, certainly never for a big paycheck. Your organization, one of many on this, so keep up the good work, Matt. I appreciate all the efforts, and anything we can do to help you out, please let us know.
All right, thanks so much. Take care.
And we'll be right back to wrap things up.